It's Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Good evening and welcome to the daily happenings inside our federal machine. This is Spathon and it's time to plunge into the swamp. A cowardly 23-year-old transgender in Minneapolis, Minnesota, shot through windows of a school inside a Catholic church, killing an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old child, as well as injuring 14 other children and 3 adults. And I'll show you how the Republicans are reacting to the news, and of course the Democrats as well. And the total number of arrests in Washington, D.C. since Trump's crime crackdown officially reached 1,178 and still counting. The U.S. Department of Transportation announced they will be cleaning up Union Station in Washington, D.C., and they plan to bring in new retailers and restaurants in the near future. Also, within the United States Secret Service, there's an elite tactical team named Hammer who travels with the president and vice president wherever they go. And I'm going to show a video showcasing what they are really capable of. And also, a DC consultant pleads guilty to stealing $1.5 million worth of COVID-era money, and they will be sentenced in federal court in December. She's already been ordered to pay back every single penny. And yesterday, the Department of Homeland Security made its 5,000th arrest in the city of Los Angeles. And also, big news, although it's admittedly not DC swamp related, but after significant backlash, Cracker Barrel has agreed to restore their original sign. A couple of federal government entities brought it up last night, which gives me the excuse to talk about it. And there's lots more that happened today, so we're just going to dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're generous enough to do so. And if you leave a comment, I might just read your comment on the next episode if you decide to leave one. So we're just going to go ahead and start right here with DEA HQ. 1,178 total arrests from the streets to the suburbs. DEA and MPD are united with our federal partners to protect the nation's capital and keep communities safe. Make DC safe again. At the Justice Department and at the White House, of course. And also, of course, 123 illegal guns have been seized. And this is from the EIA. And if you're not familiar with the EIA, it is the Independent Statistics and Analysis from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the official account. And this is a graph showing the transportation fuel demand, which remains below pre-pandemic levels. And I could take a wild guess as to why our usage of finished motor gasoline remains below where it was back in 2019 and into 2020. Mainly, my opinion, the reason is because a lot of people went to work from home after COVID. And although a lot of people have since returned to the workplace, there's still quite a number of people who are still working from home. So I think that's probably had an effect on the gasoline usage. And plus, since 2020, especially with the federal government subsidies being in place all the way up until this year, a lot of people bought EVs. So that's also going to cut down on the amount of gasoline that's being used. So just a couple of opinions of mine. That's probably why it's not quite reached the point where it was in 2019, but it might return. It might return, especially as more young Americans look for houses or places to live in rural America. If you live in rural America, you tend to use more gasoline because you have to drive farther to get places, especially if you go from the big city life to the small town life. It takes a while to adapt to it, especially if you're in a town where there's no bowling alley, no movie theater, no shopping mall, maybe only 1 or 2 restaurants. I think the big city younger adults might get a little stir crazy, so they're going to put a lot of gas on their cars at least for the foreseeable future if they move to a small town. Just an opinion. I don't know. What do I know? All right, so from USDOT Rapid Response. USDOT and Amtrak are partnering up to introduce the next gen Acela? I'm not sure how you pronounce that actually. Acela? Maybe Acela? I don't know. Anyway, we are taking Union Station back and we're making it a big, beautiful, and safe place to travel. And they also, they might actually show it in this video. They actually showcased, or they revealed some new train cars with Amtrak, and they look really nice. So let's check out this video here.
Secretary Sean Duffy is at an event. It's in Washington, D.C. at Union Station. So one of the things he was talking about is the fact that there's going to be these trains that go to Washington, to Boston and back, and in a faster fashion. It's not as fast as any of us would like, but it is faster. So I'm looking forward to that. But in addition, one of the big problems for Amtrak has been Union Station in Washington, D.C., which has been
the crime,
the jewel.
the
when
homeless.
I first lived in Washington, D.C., Bill, I would go there all the time. We did all sorts of things like go to the movies, we'd go for restaurants, we'd go shopping.
The movies.
It was great. He's talking about taking that over. Let's listen in.
And Union Station is frankly owned by DOT.
It is.
We are going to take DOT from our partners back under DOT control, and we are going to make the investments to
well, good,
make
because
sure
they suck at it.
that this station
DOT
isn't dirty, that we
probably
don't
do a
have
better job.
homelessness, in Union Station. We want a place where businesses want to obtain leases and set up shop and serve the community of DC, but also the people that travel into DC via train. But also, we want just, if you're out, you want to go for a great meal, you want to go shopping, you want to come to Union Station because it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's safe, it's a great experience.
It certainly
That's
can
what
be.
we want to do for Union Station. So today we're announcing that we're going to take.
I think that Secretary Duffy and I are around the same age, and he's remembering Union Station fondly the way I did, and I think no one better to like try to get it back to its former glory.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to Union Station once. It was nice. I went in, that would have been either 2015 or 16. I think it was nice. I went down into the subway platforms, and that is a long trip down those escalators. I couldn't believe how far underground that the subway is in DC. That's actually pretty wild, man. And this is the train car, whatever the hell you want to call them, rail cars, passenger rail cars. That's what I was talking about. So this is from US DOT Rapid Response. US DOT owns Union Station in the nation's capital. It should represent and look like what POTUS's vision is for America. We're going to take it back and clean it up from homelessness and crime to bring in new retailers and restaurants.
So first off, DOT owns Union Station, and
as he said in the last video,
that we've subleased to or we've leased to. We're going to take it back, and we're going to drive out the homelessness. We're going to drive out the crime, and we are going to, I think, bring in more retailers. I think more customers. It'll be better revenue.
As long as crime stays down, I'm sure they will.
City. It should be beautiful, and the president wants a beautiful capital. I want a beautiful capital, and so
well, it's only the capital city of the most powerful country on earth. You'd think it'd be kind of nice in Union Station.
Should look like.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic here, and this is an update from the shooting earlier. I'm sure everybody who follows the news or even gets notifications on their phones, or if you just check in on social media from time to time, especially if you're on X, I'm sure you've heard about this already. And if not, then you're going to hear it here. And I've got some updates and I've got some clips and other things of that nature. But anyway, updates on the shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The FBI is investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. There were 2 fatalities, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and also additional 14 children and 3 adults were also injured. The shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, who is a male born as Robert Westman. So the shooter is a transgender shooter. So I'm sure the mainstream media is going to fight like hell to make this story go away as quick as humanly possible. Just my opinion. The FBI will continue to provide updates on our ongoing investigation with the public as we are able. And he's responding to his initial post, which I do have further below. We are aware of reports of a shooting at a Catholic school in Minnesota. FBI agents are on scene, and we ask everyone to keep potential victims, civilians, or law enforcement in harm's way in your prayers. So we will get into that here very shortly. I think I've only probably got 3 or 4 posts between right now and when I get into that story. I did pull a lot. I pulled a lot of posts from Democrats in particular, because they're all, it's basically just copy pasting the same post over and over again. But just wanted to showcase it to you, just to give you an idea as to how the Democrats are responding to this transgender shooter that attacked small children, which of course isn't the first one. This is, I don't know what, the 5th, 6th, 7th transgender mass shooter in recent years. And fortunately for me and for you, Libs of TikTok actually has a list of the names, maybe not the names, but the events involving transgender mass shooters, and I'm going to share that as well. But first, Bureau of International Organization Affairs. China is not a developing country. That is why this week we are objected to resources being diverted to China and are dismayed that the world's second largest economy and the UN's second largest assessed donor is being prioritized over true developing countries. And UNDP is UN Development, United Nations, must focus on, effective delivery where it matters most at the country level. So we're going to take a quick clip of that at the UN.
The United States expects UNDP to adapt to the new funding landscape and to achieve greater efficiency by eliminating duplication, consolidating functions, and returning to core mandates. This also means not being sidetracked by narratives that fall outside UNDP's core mission, or reporting to soft global governance frameworks like the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is why we object to resources being diverted to China and are dismayed that the world's second largest economy, nay, the United Nations' second largest assessed donor, is being prioritized over true developing countries.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, though, isn't it?
Its own space program should not poach limited resources from countries that need clean water and basic infrastructure. We stress that UNDP should focus on specific development objectives, such as eradicating poverty, addressing corruption, improving health, promoting food security, and improving education, among others.
Yeah, I think China's probably pretty good on their own. I don't know why the hell the UN is sending them more supplies and aid in any way, shape, or form. It's ridiculous. What the hell, UN? What the fuck are you doing? All right, so from the U.S. Secret Service, Hammer is one of the most specialized teams in the Secret Service. These cross-trained operators manage chaos, and they extract personnel from danger, and they deliver emergency care in the toughest conditions. And I will link this in the description, as I link all of my articles that I click on in the description if you want to check that out below. But they got a video right here. Let's check this out. Holy shit, that was loud. Oh my God. All right, I think that's a little better.
The Hazardous Agent Mitigation Medical Emergency Response Team, or HAMMER, brings many capabilities to the protective mission, including emergency medical response, patient extraction, decontamination, as well as rescue operations, including vehicle extrication and forcible entry. All members are cross-trained and thus able to assume any role on the team. We travel worldwide with the President and Vice President, among other protectees. Hammer must be able to break through any obstacle, address any threat. Police, door open left, police! And then be able to immediately transition into providing medical care and formulate a plan for extricating the protectee from any environment.
Dude, that training's got to be intense, man.
Comprised of both agents and officers, Hammer provides specialized capabilities found nowhere else in the Secret Service.
Hell yeah, man. Secret Service. Looking a little better these days. Look a little bit better than they did last year, at least. I mean, that should go without saying. All right, so let's move on to the next thing here. Homeland Security. Foreign students should not be forever students. For far too long, past administrations have allowed foreign students and other visa holders to remain in the U.S. virtually indefinitely. The Trump administration's new proposed rule would end that abuse once and for all by limiting the amount of time certain visa holders are allowed to remain in the U.S., easing the burden on the federal government to properly oversee these individuals. And they've got an article here to share, which, of course, as I just said, I'm going to link it down below if you want to check out the entire article, but I'll read a little bit of it at least. So the new rule will limit the amount of time that foreign students, professors, physicians, and other visa holders are allowed to remain in the United States without additional screening and vetting. On Wednesday, the Trump administration announced a proposal rule that, if finalized, would limit the length of time certain visa holders, including foreign students, are allowed to stay in the United States, thereby curbing visa abuse and increasing the Department of Homeland Security's ability to properly vet and oversee these individuals. Quote, for far too long, past administrations have allowed foreign students and other visa holders to remain in the U.S. virtually indefinitely, posing safety risks, costing untold amount of taxpayer dollars, and disadvantaging U.S. citizens, said a DHS spokesperson. This new proposed rule would end that abuse once and for all by limiting the amount of time certain visa holders are allowed to remain in the U.S., easing the burden on the federal government to properly oversee foreign students and their history. Since 1978, foreign students, F visa holders, have been admitted into the United States for an unspecified period known as duration of status. Unlike other visas issued, those with a duration of status designation are allowed to remain in the U.S. for an indefinite amount of time without further screening and vetting. In turn, foreign students have taken advantage of U.S. generosity and have become forever students, perpetually enrolled in higher education courses to remain in the U.S. Wow, so there's probably foreign students that have been going to college for like 47 years at this point. Under President Trump's proposed rule, the federal government would set the authorized admission and extension periods for foreign students and exchange visitors up to the duration of the program they are participating in, not to exceed a 4-year period. The rule would set the initial admission period for foreign media representatives at up to 240 days. Foreign media representatives would be eligible for an extension period of up to 240 days, but no longer than the length of the temporary activity or assignment. Additionally, admitting foreign students, exchange, and foreign media classifications for a fixed period of time would require said aliens to apply for authorization to extend their stay with United States citizenship and immigration services, therefore requiring regular assessment by DHS for the alien to remain in the U.S. for a longer period. This would allow DHS to conduct proper oversight as part of SEVP and SEVIS by making access to necessary information more accessible and reducing the number of individuals here on visas. This proposed rule was first proposed under President Trump in 2020, but was withdrawn by the Biden administration, of course it was, in 2021, much to the detriment of U.S. citizens and taxpayers. Well, yeah, because if they're here and if they're technically residents, then they're going to be counted on the census, and that's just one more person or one more group of people that the Democrats can use to try to snake their way into getting more congressional seats, which we know that's their number one objective when it comes to immigration in all ways, shapes, and form, whether illegal, legal, or otherwise. All right, so again, that'll be down below if you want to check that out. And we are going to start with the big story of the day. Let me just make sure I got it sized up. All right. Yeah, I think I do. Okay. So I did read this earlier. We are aware, this is from FBI Director Kash Patel. We are aware of reports of a shooting at a Catholic school in Minnesota. FBI agents are on scene, and we ask everyone to keep potential victims, civilians, or law enforcement in harm's way in your prayers. The FBI will provide updates as more information becomes available. And this is from J.D. Vance, Vice President. We are at the White House monitoring the situation in Minneapolis. Join all of us in praying for the victims. And this is from Paul A. Cizapula. I'm butchering your name, dude. I'm sorry. I can't do last names. I just can't. I just wasn't, part of my brain just wasn't born with the ability to name last names, apparently. Anyway, Minneapolis police took much longer than usual to respond to this morning's mass shooting because of other violent crime and defunding. Lives may have been saved if not for Tim Walz and the Democrats with their pro-criminals agenda. Shame on Walz. And that begs the question, has Minneapolis suffered defunding of the police? I'm sure it has, because isn't that where George Floyd happened? Isn't that the epicenter of defund the police? And maybe not Black Lives Matter. Didn't that start from Michael Brown or something? I don't know. I think BLM had already been a thing by then, but pretty sure defund the police was as a result of the George Floyd shooting, though. So I'm actually going to take a quick look and just out of curiosity, I just want to know. And I probably should have looked this up, but I didn't think to until just now. So let me just take a quick look here. Did I spell Minneapolis right? I think I did. I didn't capitalize it, but investigating police funding. Yes, the Minneapolis police budget was reduced in 2020 and 21 following George Floyd's murder, of course, with about $8 million reallocated from the police budget to violence prevention and mental health services in the 2021 budget from a $179 million base. However, this was a modest 4 to 5% cut. The overall budget was restored to pre-2020 levels, which was $193 million by 2022, and increased. They went the opposite direction. They increased it to $210 million by 2023. A 2021 ballot to replace the department failed, and recent years have seen funding growth, including a 22% pay raise for officers in 2024. All right, so I can't say that I fully agree with this post with regard to that. Look, I totally agree with him as far as Tim Walz goes. The Democrats, their pro-criminals agenda, which is absolutely the case. So, okay, yeah, I guess I do agree with his whole thing. He doesn't make any mention of police funding or anything like that. But yeah, other violent crime and defunding. There it is right there. Defunding. I thought he said something about that. So I definitely don't agree with that, at least as far as Minneapolis is concerned with the police department there. But anyway, here, we'll check out the video. He shared this, so we'll take a look at this.
Tactical vest, which doesn't necessarily mean a lot. Sometimes the FBI is called in to help and things like this. I will say throughout the morning, we've been following a violent night overnight in Minneapolis. So we know
10:13 a.m.
Minneapolis police were pretty strapped. They responded to at least another deadly shooting in downtown Minneapolis earlier this morning. No indication that any of that is connected to what's going on here, but just gives you an idea of this city's resources and how they've been using those. They also dealt with a shooting involving 7 victims earlier yesterday, another fatal last night around 8 o'clock. So it could be that a lot of this help is being called in just to alleviate some of the busyness, I guess, that you could say that Minneapolis police are under. But
the
clearly,
busyness.
A lot of agencies now coming in to help. And I will say, Amy, when you see sometimes a lot of these law enforcement officers kind of by the perimeter, we saw them bringing plainclothes people. It looked like not law enforcement, maybe people involved with the scene, kind of taking them away from that scene. Could be an indication that things are settling down a bit there, that this is maybe now.
All right, so let me just check real quick with Director Patel. His initial post was at 10:45 a.m. Okay, so I just had a feeling that he posted it maybe just minutes after the call went out that there was a shooting, but yeah, according to this, it was at 10:15 a.m. when that feed was on the air. So this comes from Nick Sordor. Breaking: at least 15 children are being treated at local hospitals following the Minneapolis Catholic school shooting. At least 2 victims have lost their lives per ABC. 20 casualties total have been reported. That's not true at all. I think he actually, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about there, because there he says 2 victims lost their lives, which is accurate. And then 20 casualties, I'm surprised he didn't change that. But anyway, and children were seen walking out covered in blood. It's just horrific. So he's got a different video clip here. Let me size it up a little bit so we can see it better. And here we go.
First sense of numbers coming in here, Diane. As you said, at least 2 dead, over a dozen injured in this incident. We also know that the shooter, according to law enforcement, has been contained. What they're saying at this hour is that there is no threat to the community, but they are still urging patients in the area as they are tending to these victims. Diane, there is a massive federal response going on here. FBI responding, ATF responding, DHS is aware of the situation. But again, reiterating that there is no threat here. There are some reports coming out that this occurred during a mass, possibly at the school or nearby. And again, this was the first week of school here. We also know that this was a young Catholic church. Their website says that this was students who are pre-K to 8th grade. So again, these are young students, young children. There are some scenes, if you see right there, of kids walking out of the school, which is a great sign that kids are being released. They're trying to get kids out of there, likely clearing the buildings and releasing them to their parents. We've spoken about the reaction here, parents running to the school, of course, because Governor Tim Walz put this school name out there quite early, saying that this is where they were responding. But again, this is just the earliest information that we're getting, Diane, as we just heard from Pierre a bit earlier, that officials are still working to get a full victim count here. And we know as they go through the scene, it's always possible and often likely that they end up finding more victims, and these counts quite often do go up.
Well, fortunately, that wasn't the case. It looks like they have confirmed 2, and pray to God that none of them lose their lives in the hospital from this point on. Hopefully, they're all going to be okay. And this is from Rapid Response 47. As soon as I get back to it, President Donald J. Trump just signed a proclamation honoring the victims of the tragedy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Here's the text of the proclamation. As a mark of respect for the victims of the senseless acts of violence perpetrated on August 27th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by the authority vested in me as President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby order that the flag of the United States shall be flown at half-staff at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States and its territories and possessions until sunset, August 31st of 2025. I also direct that the flag shall be flown at half-staff for the same length of time at all United States embassies, liaisons, consular offices, and other facilities abroad, including all military facilities and naval vessels and stations. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 27th day of August in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 250th Donald J. Trump. So that one was at, let me just double check the time here, at 2 o'clock p.m. So that's when that went out, when flags were ordered at half-staff. So if you have a flag in your front yard, put it at half-staff. And from Secretary Kristi Noem, we have confirmation that the shooter at Annunciation, I think I'm saying that right, Annunciation, Annunciation, right? Is it Annunciation? Annunciation. Yeah. Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota, was a 23-year-old man claiming to be transgender. This deranged monster targeted our most vulnerable young children praying in their first morning mass of the school year. This deeply sick murderer scrawled the words "for the children" and "where is your God?" and kill Donald Trump on a rifle magazine. This level of violence is unthinkable. Our deepest prayers are with the children, parents, families, educators, and Christians everywhere. We mourn with them, we pray for healing, and we will never forget them. All right, so we'll move on to this one from End Wokeness. Breaking: Minnesota Catholic school gunman is trans, named Robin Westman, said to kill Trump on magazine, which is obviously right there, and obviously has a social media presence because it looks like they're grabbing images. And this is from, let's see. Oh, I must have grabbed this by mistake, but anyway, I'll just read it anyway. Fugitive mama, keep mocking prayer, but remember, mocking prayer is mocking God and mocking Christians. We won't forget, and neither will he. That was in response to Patty Murray, one of the Democrat posts that I had clipped down below. So we'll check that out. And this is from JD Vance once again. Amazing testimony from a very brave little boy. We hope his friend Victor is okay. And this is from Fox News. 10-year-old witness describes the Minneapolis school church shooting. My friend Victor, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him. So we're going to check this out. It's about 35 seconds.
My friend ran, someone helped him run out. He saw him, he was wearing all black, and he had a ski mask on. I was down, so I didn't really look up. I mean, he got shot through the stained glass windows, so they're probably ruined. And then my friend Victor, he was laying on top of me, making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And you have a neck on your neck?
Yeah, that was, I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
Yeah, probably debris. That'd be my guess. Maybe a piece of glass, possibly. All right, so this is from Libs of TikTok, and this is the list that I alluded to earlier. Minnesota church shooting, trans. Republican Party firebombing, gender fluid. Nashville shooter, trans. Colorado Tesla arsonist, trans. Colorado Springs shooter, non-binary. Aberdeen shooter, trans. Denver school shooter, trans. Iowa school shooter, trans/gender fluid. AMC stabber, trans. Are you starting to see a pattern here? It's an epidemic. And look, I can't say that I disagree. I think one of the biggest problems has to do with these puberty blockers and these hormones that they're pumping into our small children, and it's throwing their development completely out of whack. It's just absolutely ruining not only the reproductive system, but it's got to be ruining their development. It's even mentally, if not especially mentally. All right, so we're going to get into some of these Democrats and their responses to the shooting, starting with Catherine Clark. And let me just see if she's from, let's see, she's the Democratic whip of the U.S. House of Representatives. Oh, Massachusetts. Okay. All right. Just making sure. So anyway, she says, praying for the victims, families, and community in Minnesota now left to navigate unimaginable pain. We cannot accept this as normal. It's a policy failure that we have the power to change. Let's act. So that one was pretty tame. Not too bad. She didn't allude to gun violence, gun crime, things of that. So she kind of kept it pretty simple, pretty basic and respectful. And she's responding to ABC News, which I'll go ahead and play this as well. Looks like it's from the police chief of Minneapolis. Breaking, 2 children were killed and at least 17 others were injured, including 14 kids, when a gunman fired shots through the windows of a church at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, police said. So we'll go ahead and check this out here.
2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church.
Of course he did. You notice how he referred to him as he?
For the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy.
Yep, it's horrible. Very cowardly, to say the very least. Fucking monster. So this is from Senator Dick Durbin. During the first week of school, students should be welcoming the new school year and making new friends. Instead, students at Annunciation Catholic School in Minnesota experienced a horrifying shooting. It's heartbreaking. My prayers are with the Annunciation Catholic School community. Another good one. Another pretty tame, not political. Let's see. So Senator John Hickenlooper, heartbroken to hear about the horrific shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis on the first week of their school year. Our thoughts are with the victims and families who are impacted by this attack. Schools should be places of learning and growth, not places of fear. We must do more to end gun violence and keep our kids safe. So that's where we start to head into a little bit of political posturing now. Let's see. From Congresswoman Maggie Goodland. Let's see, from New Hampshire, and I forgot. I can't remember. I know where he's from, but I forgot. Colorado, that's right. And then Dick Durbin, I should know that too. Illinois. All right. Okay, so here we go. Maggie Goodland. This is beyond horrifying. It's sickening. My heart breaks for the 8-year-old and 10-year-old who were murdered in this senseless attack. My prayers are with the 17 innocent people who were injured during the shooting, and my thanks are with the brave first responders who quickly responded to this tragedy. And gun violence is the #1 killer of American kids. It's time to act to save lives. I mean, I would push back against that, even though, because we're in the middle of this, I'm not going to do full stop and look that up. But I have a feeling that's probably not actually the case. But if it is, prove me wrong and leave a comment if you so choose. All right, so, and she's responding to breaking, at least 2 people have been killed in the shooting, and we'll just go ahead and play this here. I don't know why they decided to freeze frame right on her boobs.
What are you hearing from law enforcement on this?
But all right.
Well, we're being told that there are multiple injuries, people that have been taken to the hospital, that the suspect is contained, but the number is quite concerning of those, the number injured. I think we're reporting now that at least 2 dead and 12 taken to local hospitals. That number could rise according to my sources. And I have guidance from a key source that this incident happened around 8:30 or so this morning.
Okay, 8:30.
As the school would have been full of students and parents dropping off their kids. Law enforcement describing an horrific scene where bullets are flying, people are being injured, And now we have the ATF, FBI responding, offering their support and their assistance. The President of the United States is now responding as well, as this is now a national major incident involving yet another mass shooting at a very public place.
Well, and I haven't heard the exact weapon that was used. I mean, I guess I could take another look at this magazine. I mean, possibly AR style. I can't. I mean, it looks wide enough to be an AR style. But I haven't seen any word yet as to the exact firearm. It definitely doesn't appear to be a handgun. That was my first thought because so many people were injured and so few were killed. So when I first heard this come out, like around 10:30 this morning, that was my first thought, because rifles are a lot more accurate than handguns. And typically with handgun mass shootings, a lot more people tend to get injured than get killed. Whereas it's usually a lot worse when it comes to rifles. But it looks like he used one. Maybe it was just a terrible shot. Thank God. Thank the Lord, man. Let's see. So yeah, we did. That was the last one we did. So let me zoom in here a little bit. Congresswoman Sarah McBride, another unconscionable act of violence has shattered yet another community, this time at a Catholic grade school in Minneapolis. Students deserve more than thoughts and prayers. They deserve to be safe at school. My heart is with the victims, the injured, and their families as they grieve. So another good one. Not bad. You know, it's the majority so far of the ones that I polled. They're not making it into a political issue, at least not yet. And this is from ABC News. Did we already do this one? I'll find out. Let's see. 2 people were killed, yada yada. So we'll go ahead and see if we
have the first sense of
already
numbers
played this. I don't think we have.
Diane, as you said, at least 2
Wish
dead,
it was a little bigger.
Over a dozen injured.
I tried to zoom in, but it doesn't work.
We also know that the shooter, according
Fucking
to
X,
law
man.
enforcement, has been contained. What they're saying at this hour is that there is no threat
I guess I could
to
full
the
screen
community, but they are still
Hey,
urging
it's a little better.
patients in the area as they are tending to these
Better than
victims.
a little
Diane,
better.
there is a massive federal response going on
I think
here.
we did
FBI
see this, though, didn't we?
responding, ATF responding.
Yeah,
DHS
we did.
is aware
We
of the
did. We did.
situation.
All
But
right.
again,
All right. We saw it. Okay, from Congresswoman Julie Johnson. This morning in Minneapolis, 2 children, just 8 and 10 years old, were murdered during school mass. 17 others, many of them children, were shot. As a mom and a congresswoman, I'm sickened. School and churches should be sanctuaries, not crime scenes. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. Our kids deserve more than condolences. They deserve courage from this Congress to stop weapons of war from tearing through classrooms and sanctuaries. Well, they also deserve to be around a public that isn't consisted of people who have been on hormones and beta blockers and testosterone and all of these chemicals that jack up developing people's brains and turning them into unhinged fucking monsters. Plus, isn't it the transgender community, isn't it almost at a 50% rate where they attempt suicide at least once in their lives? So many, if not the majority of them, are in some degree of mentally unstable, because if you consider or if you attempt suicide at any point in your life, you at least have a certain period in your life where you're going through mental instability, a pretty severe form of it, in fact. So it's not the guns, lady. The gun wouldn't have done anything, most likely, if not for this person being subjected to God knows what. I mean, I don't know. Hormones, whatnot. Can't say 100% definitively if they were or not, because I don't know the individual. All I can do is just assume and form an opinion. But yeah, chances are, my opinion, if this person wasn't radicalized by all kinds of different factors, it could have been a professor, it could have been teachers, it could have been mainstream media, could have been peer pressure, could have been all the above. Probably was all the above. Social media especially. All right, so anyway, from Rep. Zoe Lofgren, the first week of school, let me just see real quick. California. Yeah, California. The first week of school should be a time of hope and joy for our children and teachers, not trauma. My heart breaks for Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis after today's tragic shooting. We must protect our schools and act to address America's gun violence crisis. Another political post. And Rep. Richard Neal, my heart goes out to the Minneapolis community affected by the horrific tragedy that took place at Annunciation Church. Our schools and churches should be safe, and action is long overdue. Enough is enough, which that's a political one for sure. I'm absolutely heartbroken for the students from Tammy Duckworth, parents and loved ones affected by the horrific school shooting in Minneapolis. Not even 1 week into the school year, gun violence just changed their lives forever. We owe it to our kids to pass common sense gun safety reforms. That still wouldn't have changed anything. They still would have done what they did. Anyway, 2 children are dead and 17 others are injured after a shooting at a Catholic mass marking the first week of school at Annunciation Catholic School in South Minneapolis Wednesday morning. Quote, don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now, end quote. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said in a news conference after the shooting, quote, these kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church, end quote. Multiple federal sources told CBS News that the shooter died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. And if you want to read details into that, I'll have that linked in the description on CBS. You want to check that out. And let's move back to the next one here. Okay. And from Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, gun violence. See, he just jumps right into it now, doesn't he? Gun violence spares no one, not even children who are praying in their sanctuary, their sacred place of worship. It is beyond comprehension that we have chosen to live this way. For the sake of all of God's children, Congress must act on gun safety. Well, I think quite the opposite is happening across the country. Look, the Democrats, they've been hell-bent on trying to strip all Americans of our guns since at least 1999. That's kind of when they went into overdrive with regard to the Columbine high school shooting. And every time something like this happens, they just posture beyond belief when it comes to gun control. But over the last 15 years, it's been quite the opposite. Where are we at now? 26 states that are some form of constitutional carry now. Back in like 2013, there was only one state, and I believe it was New Hampshire. New Hampshire was the only state where you were allowed to carry a firearm around without requiring the government's permission to do so. Now we're at 26 states. My state, Florida, we just added that July 1st of last year, where you can conceal carry anywhere you want. You don't have to have the government's permission as long as you're concealed carrying. I mean, I think it should be open carry as well. But in Florida, you can open carry if you're going camping, fishing, or hunting, going to, directly to, or returning directly from. But other than that, it has to be concealed carry. I wouldn't recommend open carrying anyway. I mean, all that does is just give somebody who's standing behind you the opportunity to snatch your firearm away. It's better that you just don't even reveal it to anybody. People are better off not knowing, you know, ignorance is bliss kind of thing. So, yeah, anyway, so we're going to get into some of the Republican responses from the Republican that everybody just loves and adores, Rep. Dan Crenshaw. Anyway, incredible bravery and heroism. A 5th grader from Annunciation Catholic School said his friend jumped on top of him during the shooting and took a bullet to the back to protect him. He's in the hospital now. They think he's going to be okay. Tara, and I are praying for him, for the 2 children who were killed, and for all who were injured, and for the entire Minneapolis community. These acts of violence against children are incomprehensible. The perpetrator will burn in hell for eternity, but that's no consolation to the families who have lost their babies. My heart breaks for them. So, you know, say what you will about Dan Crenshaw. It was a good one, you know. You could tell it was heartfelt, which anybody who's a parent, if you respond to this online, most likely you're gonna put a heartfelt response on it, just because you put yourself in these parents' shoes who lost their kids. It's one of the most horrifying things you can imagine. It's the most horrifying thing to get a call like that your child is no longer with us. I mean, I can't even imagine. So I believe we did see this. I don't think that we saw a minute 41 version of this, so I'm going to give this a go. And I'm going to full screen it this time, because that actually looked like not too bad.
After.
Here we go.
It was very scary. It was like my friend got shot in the back. He's in the hospital right now. It was super scary because like we've never practiced it in the church. We've only practiced it in the main school. So we really didn't know what to do. We just got into the pews and he shot through the stained glass windows. Yeah.
I'll say they're out in the open, man. That's even worse.
My friend like ran, someone helped him like run out. He saw him. He was wearing all black and he had a ski mask on.
So it just shot through the windows and never came inside?
I don't think so. I mean, I was down, so I didn't really look up. I mean, he got shot through the stained glass windows, so they're probably ruined. And
but do you have friends that got hit by bullets?
Yeah, my best friend did. I think he's gonna be okay. And then my friend, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And you have a nick on your neck?
Yeah, that was, I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
But that came from during this?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You seem pretty put together here, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just like confused kind of, because I never thought it would happen, and it just happened. So like, just kind of crazy.
Look, and with regard to the gun drills in schools, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good idea. I understand the reasoning behind it. I understand. I don't know if it's intentional, but I think what it's doing, it's making a lot of kids just straight out terrified of guns, and they'll probably never even want to think about ever owning one. And I don't think that's the right way to take it. I mean, like, what parents really should be doing is taking their kids to the range. Yeah, maybe, when would be a good age for that? Maybe 12, 11, maybe 12, somewhere around then. But I would absolutely be okay with somebody taking their 7-year-old, maybe even their 6-year-old. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you got a 22. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as young as you can, knowing that they'll be okay handling it. I mean, you know your kids better than anybody else. But yeah, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. My daughter, I think she was probably either 13 or 14. She might have been 14 the first time we went to the range. Very first firearm she shot was an AR-15. That was not my first ever. My first ever it was like a handgun. But yeah. But anyway, I mean, what do? I guess try to make the schools more secure, which is something that they've been working on for a while. There's only so secure that you can make a school. I think if teachers carried guns, I think that would certainly help. Of course, it wouldn't have helped this situation when some piece of shit is standing outside the school shooting through the windows. I guess that's probably where the drills would come in handy, even though they, like the kid said, they weren't in a particular area where they had practice for that in the past. So now these poor kids are going to have to go through that from this point forward. They're probably, at least in Minnesota, they're probably going to change that to where now they have to do a drill in the cafeteria. Now they have to do a drill in the hallways. Now they have to do a drill in the front office. Now they have to, like, all over the fucking place. Now they've got to do drills in multiple places all over the school in the event that this offhand, God knows, might end up happening. But I don't know, man. I guess being prepared is better than not being prepared, of course. I'm kind of torn when it comes to that. Just, you know, for like 99% of students, 99.9% of students, they don't end up in a situation like that, thank God. And they end up walking away probably generally more scared of guns than they would have been otherwise, which, of course, the Democrats would love nothing more than to see that through. All right, anyway, I don't want to keep going off on a soapbox moment. So this is from Congressman Nick Langworthy. My heart aches for the victims, their families, and the entire Annunciation Catholic school community in Minnesota. These horrific murders and acts of hate-filled violence are nothing short of pure evil, and we must confront them as such. We pray for the precious lives lost, for the wounded to make a full and healthy recovery, and for the strength and healing for a community left shattered by this unimaginable loss. Even in the face of this darkness, I am deeply grateful for the first responders whose swift and courageous actions saved lives. And I would agree. They said that this shooter took themselves out probably once the cops started pulling up. That I'm assuming that's probably when that happened. So yeah, for them to respond as quickly as possible. Of course, there was somebody earlier that said that they didn't respond fast enough. I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, there was a shooting that happened the night before. Not so sure if all the cops were still called over to that scene. If it happened hours before, probably not. But I'd be curious to know. Not sure if they'll divulge that information, how quickly officers responded once the call went out. All right, so this one is from Congressman Gabe Evans. My family and I are praying for the Minneapolis community as they face this devastating tragedy. As a father, I can't begin to imagine the heartbreak these families are enduring. We stand with the students, families, and first responders in this difficult time. And I want to say that's it. Yeah, so that's it as far as the responses to the shooting goes. So pretty much done with that. I'm going to do not a hard segue. I mean, it's kind of in a similar vein because it's pertaining to Tim Walz, but so just kind of changing the mood, going from somber to maybe just a little not as somber. All right. But anyway, yeah, I hope they all pull through. As I said, I hope every single one of them makes it out of the hospital okay. Hopefully their injuries were as minimal as humanly possible. Of course, I mean, that should go without saying. I think we're all in that same boat as far as our hopes and feelings are concerned with everyone who was shot. And yeah, but I will update if I see anything tomorrow. I'll definitely give updates on it. Anything that comes across my way, if somebody's talking about it, and if it has anything to do with any progress with anything, whether good or bad, I'll bring it up. So anyway, this comes from Rep. Nancy Mace. Tim Walz is too busy putting tampons in boys' bathrooms and encouraging this derangement to protect your kids from it. Now, she posted this about 2 hours ago, so we're going to give this a quick look. It's only 9 seconds. It's pretty short. Let me adjust the volume a little bit because I don't know if she's going to be screaming loud or not.
Are you still friends with school shooters?
Oh, no, that's not too bad.
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
What?
Yeah, is bullying...
Uh-oh. He misspoke. He said he was friends with school shooters. Oh, no. I have a feeling in the comments that there might be other examples. Stolen ballot. I did hear about that. What I thought was really funny about Tim Walz was during his campaigning with Kamala Harris, Tim Walz's family, they all took a picture on a front porch, I believe it was, and they all had Trump Vance 2024 shirts on. His immediate family, the Walz family, or no, actually, didn't it say Walz for Trump or something like that? It was very in your face. And I read a couple things. I don't know how true it is, but I read a couple things saying that from Tim Walz's family members saying that he's just absolutely off his rocker. We don't know what the hell happened to him, but his entire family are all diehard conservatives, and I don't know. He must be like some like ultra level fucking grifter, just trying to weasel his way into politics. Anyway, so show yourself. Okay. It's disgusting and something needs to be done. Instead of allowing the delusions to continue, they should be offering mental health help. Yeah, well, I mean, they should be. They shouldn't be making it worse. And one way to make it worse would be to, when they're adolescents, to be pumping them full of puberty blockers and testosterone and hormones. And I'm sure there's like a whole bunch of other concoctions and chemicals and pharmaceuticals that I probably haven't even heard of, that they're more or less force feeding these children, because prepubescent children, they're not thinking about, well, I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body or a girl trapped in a boy's body. No, they're thinking that like boys have cooties, girls have cooties. I don't like boys. I don't like girls. Just leave me alone and let me be whoever I am. That's what small prepubescent kids are thinking. They just have psychotic parents who have been indoctrinated into this like radical cult, and they just want to be a member of the club. They want everybody to pay attention to them. They want to go viral on the internet. They want to be an influencer. And they're going to do so by transitioning their pubescent children into the opposite sex. It's deranged. They're lunatics. They're absolute lunatics. All right, so whatever. So we'll just move on to the next thing here. All right. I was kind of hoping that would have been longer. I bet that was a banger of an exchange. All right, so this is, again, from Senator Dick Durbin, unrelated. So it says, Donald Trump's reportedly going to use Naval Station Great Lakes as a center for his illegal military occupation in Chicago. Oh, yeah? That would be a total waste, and it would hurt our military readiness. I mean, it would hurt our military readiness in the Great Lakes. What's he worried about? Is he worried about Canada? Like, for real? I think I actually responded to that effect. Why are Democrats so paranoid about Canada invading us? Do they really have nothing better to do? All right, whatever. So why are you so afraid of President Trump saving American lives? Do you feel he will prove how worthless the Democrat Rhino Party actually is? Yeah, absolutely. Democrats once again are going on record as pro-crime. Unbelievable. They are. They are. And I know they know that they don't want it to appear that way, but it's coming across that way. And I'm sure they're just desperately trying to frame it in an extremely careful way to make it so that they're not pro-crime, but they're anti-Trump on this issue. And you can't do it. They can't do it. And it's hilarious. It's amazing watching this happen. I mean, what a time to be alive. That Democrats have taken the stance of pro-crime in every sense of the word. It's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, it's absolutely wild how degenerate that party has really become, and how quickly that they have too. Let's just make illegals part of the military and send them in. Yeah, okay, I can believe that. Look, I already said the The illegal immigrants that are in detention centers, if they're going to be there for an extended period of time, you might as well put them on a bus and take them down to the border and make them paint the border. Don't hire construction workers and pay them like 20, 30 bucks an hour to do it. Make them do it. And that would be ironic, maybe might be the word to fit that, or hilarious. Fitting would be another way to describe that. Anyway, so, all right. So Doge AI, they usually give a long-winded response and usually a fairly logical one, but I'm not really looking for logic here. I'm just looking for people just shit talking. Plenty of room in a perfect secure location with facilities. Thousands of crime fighters. Chicago crime this year, 240 homicides, 865 shooting incidents, which I'm sure that's probably very far down from where it was probably last year. I just remember during the COVID era in 2020, 21, I was hearing numbers like 3,000, 3,500 shootings happening in Chicago on an annual basis. So if it's only 865, it's still a horrific number. And obviously, they need to really fix what the fuck's going on in Chicago, because it's been this way forever in Chicago. But 340 carjackings, only 16.2% of the 147,899 crimes reported were arrests made. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What is that? Like 84% of crimes that happened in Chicago, there were no arrests that were made. I believe it. I could buy that. I voted for that. Elections have consequences. Oh, it's just a GIF. I'm not going to play that. White House X-ray. They're turning a naval base meant to project power outward into a garrison to occupy an American city. A curious definition of making America great, isn't it? As follows playbook. Calls it a manufacturer cry. All right, whatever. If you know everything and the administration doesn't know shit, then why aren't you in the White House, right? Are we worried Canada is going to invade? Yeah, that's what I said. Yes, excellent choice. I can't wait. Thanks for the update. Yes. The president certainly doesn't need advice from you. Yeah, no, they don't. It'll only hurt the Democrats in the midterms and future elections. I would think so. You would think. Which is why they're going to fiercely push back against getting rid of the mail-in voting, the voter ID requirements. They're trying to make it as easy as possible so they could blanket ballot everything. And that's how they're going to win. They're going to win by filling out ballots for people who are no longer living. I mean, how does that joke go? If you're a Democrat, bury me in a blue state so I can keep voting after I'm dead. Something like that. I don't know. Our military is not fighting a war, so why not cross-train and help stop crime in this country? Exactly. What a great idea. We have to pay them war or not, so use our tax money to help the country instead of destroying it. Democrats want crime. That's why they brought millions of illegals into our country. Yes. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrats behind the scenes worked with those Latin American countries and fed those leaders the idea, hey, why don't you empty out your prisons while you're at it? Your country will be a lot safer. You're not going to have to pay thousands of dollars a year for each inmate that you're housing. Let them out of your prison and send them up here, because we want all the criminals we can get, because Democrats, they want the instability. They want the chaos. They want the country to burn to the ground. That's all they want, because once the country is completely collapsed, then they can regrow this magical communist utopia reminiscent of the Hunger Games or Elysium, or I don't know. You could take any pick of any science fiction movie like Blade Runner or some shit. I mean, Hollywood's made it abundantly clear that the future that they have envisioned for us is a very dystopic, nightmarish one. One where the 99% of us are just going to be living in a daily nightmare, while the top 1% elites are going to live up in the magical Elysium starship or some shit. All right, whatever. So I'm going to go back. Let's go back to the next one here. The defendant of the District of Columbia pleaded guilty today to her role in a scheme that defrauded $1.5 million in economic injury disaster loans, EIDL, from the U.S. government. May pleaded guilty to an information charging her with one count of wire fraud before the U.S. District Court judge, who scheduled sentencing for December 9th. Under the terms of the plea agreement, May must return the $1.5 million to the United States. And I will link that up above here. Let's take a look. It probably doesn't really give much more information than that. Jennifer May, that's her name, 43 years old, from D.C., and she's a consultant, I'm assuming in the federal government in some way, shape, or form. But it says, here, let me scroll down here. According to court documents, May was founder and owner of Next Level Partners, LLC, a consulting firm specializing in assisting campaigns with complying with campaign finance regulations and managing their accounts payable functions. You can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. I mean, it's almost as bad as the governor of the Federal Reserve, or one of the governors on the Federal Reserve, got caught engaging in mortgage fraud, buying a property, claiming that it was her primary residence when it wasn't, and then immediately started renting it out to somebody else. Then she bought a second property in Georgia. The first one was in Michigan. She bought the second one in Georgia and said it was her primary residence just 2 weeks after purchasing her first property. 2 weeks. And then said it was her primary, which she's got to have a memory capable of lasting longer than 2 weeks. So she knew she was fraudulently filling out the application for the second one after saying that she already has a primary residence up in Michigan. But yeah, 2 weeks later, same thing. Primary residence. She gets a loan on a mortgage, whatever, and then she immediately starts renting it out. Both of those properties apparently are being rented out, but they're both her primary residence. So in case you were wondering, what's her name? I can't remember her name offhand. She's that governor at the Federal Reserve. Trump sent her a letter yesterday insisting that she's fired, like saying, like, effective immediately, you're now fired. You don't work here anymore. And then she claps back saying, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't do anything wrong. So, yeah. And then, of course, the Democrats are covering for, that's never happened. A president's never fired a governor from the Federal Reserve before. It's because she's the first black woman. That's why. Oh, my God. Why would he do this? He's such a racist orange man. All right, whatever. But yeah, so that happened. But yeah, it's kind of in the same vein as this. I would almost bet a Vegas bet that this person probably votes Democrat. Probably. All right, so that's going to be linked below. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that because I got some other stuff to check out. All right, so from Homeland Security on August 25th of 2025, the Federal Protective Service reported a bomb threat against an ICE facility in Dallas. Bratton Dean Wilkinson, a 36-year-old U.S. citizen, was taken into custody by local law enforcement and charged with making terroristic threats. The shameful rhetoric from activists, politicians, and the media has fueled a culture of hate against law enforcement, resulting in a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. Yeah, it wasn't too hard to radicalize them because they've been radicalized ever since the whole George Floyd bullshit happened with defund the police, and then they infused it with Black Lives Matter and all this other nonsense that they're doing. So yeah, I mean, they've pretty much been radicalized for years at this point. So it doesn't take much to essentially snap their fingers and thousands of brain-dead Democrat voters, progressives, just descend on whatever scene they want to descend them to, and then they just start harassing cops. But there's some, I'm not going to name them, but there's some internet personalities out there. They're saying that if they get attacked by anybody, even if they're American citizens in the public, screaming at them or whatever, if they start throwing, whether if it's throwing hands or throwing rocks or throwing anything, they need to shoot them. Shoot them. and they're not talking about pepper balls. They're not talking about tasers. They're talking about firearms. Yeah, if they start committing violence against law enforcement, take out your gun and shoot them. Because that would be a very quick signal to the whole country. Of course, they're going to freak out. Their hair is going to, like, all of these pundits, all these Democrat pundits out there, their hair is immediately going to spontaneously combust in the flames when that happens, with their absolute just raging mentality. How dare they do that? They're shooting poor innocent American citizens now who have a First Amendment right to protest. I mean, it's too easy, man. It's too easy. So, but they're not doing it. They're not, but all right, so whatever. Let's go ahead and watch this real quick.
This is according to the Department of Homeland Security. 36-year-old Bratton Dean Wilkinson approached the entrance and claimed he had a bomb in his backpack.
There's the asshole right there.
He also allegedly told security officers he had a detonator on his wrist. Local police dispatched a bomb squad. You're seeing images from the incident here. They were able to clear the scene.
What a pussy. What a wuss. You're such a wuss, dude. I've got a bomb. No, dude. Probably can barely even fucking spell the word bomb, let alone how to fucking make one. All right. But yeah, these people are psycho. They're brain dead. They have no fucking clue what's up or down anymore. What good is that going to get you, dude? You're going to go to prison for like 15 years for something that you didn't even have in the first place. You brain dead retard. All right. So from Agricultural Research Service, harnessing the power of AI to accelerate breeding programs, Learn how ARS scientists are employing artificial intelligence to accelerate breeding for new plant varieties that will greatly benefit farmers. This is wild, man. They're using AI to more effectively develop crops. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This is on scientificdiscoveries.ars.usda.gov. And as soon as I can make the text large enough, I wish I can get rid of this freaking... Can I do this? No. That's not going to help. Oh, damn it, dude. I hate some of these government websites, man. With all this social media bullshit, I can't fucking read it. All I can do now is just have to, like, zoom way the fuck out. So now anybody watching this can't freaking follow along. All right. Anyway, so harnessing the power of AI to accelerate breeding programs. ARS scientists are employing artificial intelligence to accelerate breeding for new plant varieties that will greatly benefit farmers. Traditional plant breeding is often a slow, laborious process that includes many steps of manual assessment whose quality depends on individual observers. AI offers a promising alternative by automating these steps. ARS scientists in St. Paul, Minnesota, that's pure coincidence, analyzed 15,000 root systems of alfalfa plants using digital images fed into an AI model to test its ability to predict root types, and they compared its accuracy and speed to human predictions. Findings show the AI method not only can be used by non-experts because it only requires using a phone camera, but it can also significantly reduce the time required to identify root types from 22 down to 2 weeks, while also minimizing human errors. In Beltsville, Maryland, ARS researchers developed a cost and labor-efficient imaging system to monitor drought progression and recovery in 1,000 turfgrass mapping population variants. This system automatically captured 345,600 images over a month, and the AI model analysis achieved a prediction accuracy of 93%, enabling identification of key traits and associated genes affecting drought susceptibility and tolerance within the mapping population. Both AI methods delivered results in less time and at a significantly lower cost, proving to be of tremendous value for plant breeders to increase the efficiency and cost effectiveness of their programs. So, in case you didn't know, they're using AI for real world applications, and it's even gotten to the point where they're using AI to manage their crops now, which is crazy. It's crazy how fast this shit's moving. It's absolutely wild, man. Like the military, they're doing all kinds of shit with AI too. They're even working on integrating AI into some of their these drone fighter jets. They're not technically fighter jets, but they're combat combat aerial vehicles. They look just like fighter jets. They just don't fly at supersonic speed, and I don't think they have the maneuverability that actual fighter jets have. But they've got these insane looking drones, and they're talking about integrating AI into it. Like they're literally uploading Skynet into our fucking military. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, man, I thought that was pretty cool. I came across that. It was posted about 6 hours ago. I mean, like I said, everything that I put on here, it's less than 24 hours old. That was shared by our federal government. And many, if not most of them, actually, yeah, I'd be comfortable saying that probably 75, maybe 80% of what I share each evening consists of posts that are less than 12 hours old. So all this stuff, it's I don't know if breaking news is really the appropriate word or phrase to use for it, but yeah, man, all this stuff happened today. All right, or at least it was posted today. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, President Trump is a solutions-oriented businessman, unlike past administrations that ignored the strategic risks of a wildly imbalanced global trade order and supply chain. The president's team is committed to fully de-risking the U.S. economy and putting America first.
President Trump's a businessman, and he's very solution-oriented. It's inconceivable to me that administration after administration has just let these strategic risks just sit around.
Yeah.
And there's a group of us in this administration, led by President Trump, who believe that if we leave office in January 2029 and we have not de-risked the U.S. economy, then we have failed, and we are not going to fail.
Well, God willing. I mean, Trump is making it pretty certain that we're going on the right track, that we're moving upward. The stock market's looking good. I mean, pretty much everything in the economy is looking good except, the average American savings account, the cost of housing, the cost of car payments, the amount of credit card debt that's out there. Pretty much every single form of debt out there is at record highs right now. So some aspects of the economy, look, the rich, it's party time for the rich. For everybody else, it's not so much. It's actually kind of a struggle these days. The silent depression. So I guess it depends on who you ask. I mean, there are a lot of people though that are handling things quite well, dealing with good times and not bad times. Especially if you're a homeowner and you own your house. I mean, shit, dude, your house is probably worth double what it was 5 years ago at this point. So anyway, moving on to Taylor Rogers. And who is Taylor Rogers? The White House Assistant Press Secretary. From the New York Post, Trump's D.C. takeover wins praise from residents, business owners, and crime plummets. We feel much more safe. So come from the New York Post. As soon as I can find it, there it is. And it's going to be linked below if you want to check it out. Trump's D.C. takeover caused violence to plummet 45%. Dem mayor admits, as residents and business owners say, we feel much more safe. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, let's check out the video if it decides to load. Here we go.
We had to change
Oh, that's quiet.
a lot of money into renovation of the store just because so many robberies have been happening in past. And all we can do as small business owner is protect yourself. I did see the change since we moved in DC, and I did see that there were a lot of events that were held previously in different states, like the Pride event and few more events. They were now moved in to DC, and that helped us as DC small business owners, that increased the traffic into our stores, the foot traffic, and it helped us a lot. I do feel safe because also whenever there's something, I call 911 right away. I always tell my employees I'm very good in calling 911, and they help me out right away. Actions are taken instantly.
Good.
And the local cops have been doing their jobs really better.
All right, man. Damn, dude, that alcohol is getting expensive. It's been a few years since I've drank alcohol. I quit like in 2022. I used to have like 4 beers a night, every night, like before I went to bed. I always watched a movie, drank a few beers, and then went to bed, and then I just quit. And I think I've probably had like 5 drinks in like the last 3 years. But yeah, so anyway, I haven't looked. I can assume that it's probably gone up a lot, but yeah, I mean, look, I know behind the counter, it's the fancy shit. I get it. But still, I mean, like the average price behind her was like $50. Good grief. All right. So from Washington, President Trump's takeover of Washington, D.C. has caused violent crime in the capital to plummet in a matter of days. The city's Democrat mayor acknowledged on Wednesday, as many residents and business owners say they feel safer already. Quote, we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in the city, said D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser in a Wednesday press conference. Let me repeat this, because just about a week ago, they were pushing back so hard against this, saying that it was a hostile takeover and this is like dangerous and Trump is essentially breaking laws and shit. Like they were so hyperbolic about this occurring. We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in the city. That is amazing, dude. Talk about the tides turning, because at some point you just have to give in to reason and common sense and logic. Anyway, quote, the difference between this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents an 87% reduction in carjackings, Bowser noted, later posting the full stats on her X account. Uh-oh. All right, I'll get to that in a second. Violent crime has fallen by 45% when compared with the same period in 2024, while crime overall dipped 15%. But I thought there wasn't any crime in D.C. I thought it was like the lowest it's been in 30 years. Quote, we know that when carjackings go down, when use of guns go down, when homicide or robbery goes down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer, the mayor said. Yeah, that's called common sense. All right, so this is her post. Oh, that's not her post. Mark Seagraves, a reporter from NBC4 Washington breaking. All right. D.C. Mayor Bowser releases data showing crime down significantly during federal surge compared to last year at the same time in previous 20 days. Crime down significantly in every category compared to 2024. Violent crime down 45%. Carjacking down 87%. And overall down 15%. Hey, dude, if it's 5%, that's something, right? All right, let's see if I make this a little larger. Is it going to cooperate with me or no? No, it's not. Because of tax. All right, so homicide, sex abuse, ADW, robbery, burglary, motor vehicle theft, theft from auto theft, arson, and so on. So if you want to check out this graphic or this image for yourself, I will link this post. I'll just put this link right here into my description if you want to check that out. As I link everything, anything I can get my hands on, anything that I come across, I'll link it if I can. I'm gonna hesitate on scrolling down because that looks like that could get really sketchy really fast. All right, so let's just take the safe route and just go to the next one. Abigail Jackson. Who is Abigail Jackson? White House Deputy Press Secretary. Personal account. Here comes the cheapest Labor Day driving in years. And this is, of all places, from Axios. Axios. Here comes the cheapest Labor Day driving in years. How many times do you think they're going to reference the name Donald Trump? I bet it's going to be extremely close to zero. Average U.S. gasoline price on the Monday before Labor Day weekend. And this chart goes all the way back to 2011. And as you can see, going up, going down. It was actually quite low back in 2020, just a little bit over $2. But of course it was, because nobody was driving back then. I don't know if you remember, but back in 2020, I think it was maybe April or May of 2020. There had been so much crude oil that had been drilled, and all of the tankers were completely full. They were sitting offshore because there were no refineries to take the oil to. So crude oil dropped into the negatives. It got down to like negative $10 a barrel, which means if you had a legal way to store crude oil, like if you had a tanker truck and you were licensed to do so, or, if you have the government's permission to store crude oil, you could have gone up to one of those facilities and you could have taken oil off their hands and they would have paid you $10 a barrel. How you like that? All right, so looks like they're going to paywall my ass. Fuckers. All right, let me try this. Let me see if I can get around it. See if I can get around it. Maybe not, but we'll see. I'm gonna go incognito, see if it'll let me do it. I doubt it, but maybe it will. Oh, damn, fuck. Fucking Axios. Average gasoline prices over Labor Day weekend will be lower than in recent years. Why does it matter? Because lots of people drive over the holiday weekend. It's gonna be probably a brain dead article anyway, but I'll link it if you just so happen to be subscribed to Axios. I don't know why the hell you would, but if you just happen to be, maybe you have some like package where you get access to like 50 different news outlets, and Axios just happens to be one of them. But it'd be nice if this was more interactive, if it actually just gave like exact figures. But it's over $3. It's been over $3 since 2021. Of course, it's been much higher under Biden. But I'm surprised that this 2021, I'm kind of calling bullshit on 2021, because we did go through quite a few weeks when gas was like $5-6 a gallon on average in the country. So I'm definitely calling out that barely $3 in 2021. I don't know about all that, but yeah, anyway, yeah, if you're traveling for Labor Day, I don't know about where you're at, but in Florida, it's still over $3 a gallon. It's like, last I checked, it was like $3.15, $3.20 a gallon. So it really hasn't moved over here, down here, hardly at all. And this comes from Michael Knowles. Honored to have been the first podcaster to attend a cabinet meeting. Many thanks to the White House for the invitation. Just figured I'd point that out because he was responding to the White House, the greatest cabinet of all time. And the only way, I can tell you how I came across this. It's because Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, reposted this post. Again, I wish X would actually say that up here on the top that says like Caroline Leavitt reposted or whatever. But it doesn't, but that's where I got that from. And speaking of which, Caroline Leavitt, ICE detains criminal illegal aliens convicted of heinous crimes against Americans. And this is from DHS.gov. Sounds like we're going to get a few examples here. ICE detains criminal illegal aliens convicted of heinous crimes against Americans. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement today announced the arrests of criminal illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes across the United States. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, we are fulfilling the American people's mandate to remove the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens from our country. Quote, on day one, President Trump unleashed ICE law enforcement to go after depraved criminals who are terrorizing American communities. Oh, this line, said a senior DHS official. In just one day, ICE officers across the U.S. nabbed illegal aliens with convictions for sexual assault with a child, sodomy, vehicle theft, and more barbaric crimes, while sanctuary politicians and the media were peddling a false sob story of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Our brave ICE law enforcement was arresting the worst of the worst. From Texas to New York to California, ICE officers are removing the worst of the worst violent offenders from our streets and sending a clear message: America is no longer a safe haven for criminal illegal aliens. Yesterday's arrests, this is just yesterday. Yesterday's arrests include, let's see, I'm not going to read their names. I'm just going to read what they were arrested for. So this one in California, sodomy by force. I'm assuming it's the top one. Sodomy by force for that one. Injury to a child in Texas. Attempted gang assault in Queens. Let's see, 2 counts of theft of a motor vehicle and resisting arrest in New Jersey. Aggravated sexual assault with a child, indecency with a child, and driving while intoxicated in Austin. And it looks like those are just the big ones from yesterday. I'm sure they arrested way more than that, but that's just kind of a sneak peek of all the dregs of society that Latin America unleashed onto our country. And yeah, now we're having to deal with it. So this is from Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. She had changed her profile picture to her South Park character. I'm assuming that South Park is about to come out with an episode either featuring Anna Paulina Luna, or she's just going to be one of the characters in the episode. I found that funny because she's my rep. She's my representative in Congress. I voted for her. And yeah, I just thought that was hilarious that she made that her profile picture. She was catching some flack for it, to be honest, though. They're like, why would you do that? That looks ridiculous. That doesn't even look like you. And then other people were saying, don't you have better things to do than goofing off with South Park pictures? Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Get a damn life. All right, so this is from Tampa International Airport. It's in my neck of the woods. I live in Tampa Bay. Specifically, I live in St. Pete. And this says, so fast, so easy. We're one of the first airports in the U.S. to roll out Tampa's new dedicated family, or TSA, sorry, I was grazing over that. Transportation Security Administration. We all know what TSA is. New dedicated family screening lanes. These lanes streamline security screening for families and their kids 12 and under and are now available at each airside. And I'm assuming either the FAA or maybe the Department of Transportation, maybe Sean Duffy, somebody reposted this. That's how I got my hands on it. Because everything that I look for this episode each night, it's all government accounts. And now we're going to get into the Cracker Barrel situation. Uh-oh. This was absolute music to my ears, to my eyes when I saw this last night. I was laying in bed. It was like midnight. I was just about to fall asleep. I was just checking just one last quick scroll to see if anything crazy happened in like the last 10 minutes or hour or whatever. And I came across this. So this is from The Steak and Shake. The Steak and Shake. Mr. President, Cracker Barrel heard you. Americans are grateful. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I think that's hilarious and that's awesome that Steak and Shake is pro-Trump. I can't think of another nationwide chain, at a minimum, a nationwide restaurant chain that has taken a pro-Trump stance. I can't think of any other one other than Steak and Shake. I know Trump, he put fries in the bag at McDonald's. I get that, but I don't think McDonald's is necessarily pro-Trump. I don't think they've ever taken a political stance one way or the other. Plus, I believe that probably wasn't McDonald's necessarily. That was probably the franchise owner who ran that McDonald's that invited Trump to do his whole, campaign goings on at McDonald's. But anyway, they were responding to Trump War Room from President Donald J. Trump. Congratulations, Cracker Barrel, on changing your logo back to what it was. All of your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck into the future. Make lots of money. And most importantly, make your customers happy again. Don't you just love it? They have returned the Cracker and the Barrel. Or I guess officially the old timer. Isn't that what they technically call the old man? The old timer. So, and check this out. This is from the White House. Go woke, go broke. America first. America is back with President Trump as the Cracker and the Barrel. And then from the White House, good luck. Let's see what this is pertaining to. Oh, okay. So he made a response to this yesterday at 11:55 a.m. Even the president of the United States was given his 2 cents on this. Like this is how important Cracker Barrel is to American culture. I went to Cracker Barrel when I was a kid. I actually have a couple of pretty fond memories from Cracker Barrel, and I think all of us probably do. I think pretty much all of us has been to Cracker Barrel at one point or another, and it was kind of soul crushing to hear that not only were they changing the sign, okay, fine, the sign I can live with that, but they were changing the restaurant. They were making it look like this ridiculous, bland, just nonsense diner. It just looked like some boring ass diner. When I walk into Cracker Barrel, I want it to look dusty. I want it to look, dingy, 1800s, worn out, corrugated metal everywhere, washboards on the wall, just like old cast iron shit everywhere. That's the Cracker Barrel I want to see, because that was the Cracker Barrel when I was a kid. And hopefully one day, if I'm a grandparent or even a great-grandparent, God willing, then I'll be able to take my grandkids to Cracker Barrel, and it'll look just like it did when I was a kid. I think that's what we all hope and wish for. Steak and Shake included. So anyway, yeah, so he posted that yesterday. Not exactly relevant anymore because they actually listened and they changed it back. So this is from the GOP. Congratulations, Cracker Barrel, on changing your logo back to what it was. And of course, that was from the president. So we already read that, but it was from the GOP. So they reposted it as well. And that's all I got with Cracker Barrel. There was a lot of responses. I guess I could probably jump into this one. GOP tends to have a lot of people on the left and the right commenting. So let's see. What a mistake with potato and vegetables. Yep, 1776. Hell yeah. Big failure. Trump should wait next time before he gloats. All right. Yeah, you see what I mean. They still proudly have their LGBTQ and DEI page on their website, and they haven't said that they'll end funding. Oh yeah, I mean, we all know Cracker Barrel's woke. There was at least an effort for people to boycott Cracker Barrel back. Was it last June? Could have been the June before last, but they made the announcement that they were going to change the sign. They were dumping over $100 million into redesigning and remodeling all the restaurants. And they probably did that during the month of June, whenever Cracker Barrel made that announcement. But there was a push to boycott Cracker Barrel back then. So we all know that they've got the DEI agenda. I mean, it's crystal clear looking at the CEO. I mean, she looks about as woke can get. So, I mean, that's of no shock to me, at least. Let's see. Cracker Barrel, Old Country Store. Next order of business, now that the distraction is over. Release the files, of course. And then, of course, there's that was from South Park. I was kind of disappointed how they did that. If you saw the most recent South Park where they brought out Trump and JD Vance, and JD Vance was like a little mini-me version. It was funny, but I kind of liked how they made Mr. Garrison into Trump. And I think by giving Mr. Hat JD Vance, I think that would have also been quite fitting, but whatever. All right, so release the files, of course. I think they're getting this shit from Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer keeps dropping that nonsense, talking about release the files. All right, no comment on that. Epstein survivors will be having press conference on September 3rd. Yeah, okay. Release the files. Yeah, so there's obviously pushback from the left, which with regard to this has nothing to do with Cracker Barrel at all. They're just pissed off because Trump ain't releasing the files, which I've said time and time again. If they actually did have all the files, if the Biden administration didn't destroy them already, and if they actually released everything, it would hurt Democrats a hell of a lot more than it would hurt Republicans. The reason why Democrats are posturing so heavily to release the files is because they know that there aren't any to release. All the pertinent shit they've already destroyed. So that's just my 2 cents. That's my opinion. The White House might actually have kind of a similar list of comments. Yeah, see, Epstein, of course. God bless America, Cracker Barrel, Greta Thunberg. All right, that was a good one. I like that one. This is the only thing that will save Cracker Barrel. Oh yeah. Putting Trump instead of the old timer. Yep, I dig it. The CEO of Cracker Barrel needs to go. She does not represent the culture of Cracker Barrel today or tomorrow. No, she doesn't. Absolutely not. Not at all. No, like when I think of somebody running Cracker Barrel, I think of what's his name? Is it Scott Collins? I think the dude that heads up the VA. I think somebody like him, someone with like a southern accent or just like a twang to his accent, and someone who's just like like really focused on just making something awesome. I would imagine that. Not some like fucking wokerati, God knows where the fuck she graduated from, some Ivy League school she crawled out from under. Yeah, definitely not very fitting for Cracker Barrel. If you want to change it to your liking to something completely different, you're better off just starting something else up from scratch. But she knows what she's doing. They all know what they're doing. They just want to ruin anything that's in any way Americana. They just want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of American culture, American values, American tradition. They just want to wipe it all clean. They want to erase history and rewrite it as they see fit. But the problem is that they're not the victors. Not yet. I mean, as long as there's 400 million guns out there, they can fucking try. They can try if they want to. All right. We are Cracker Barrel is so back. People have spoken. Yes, they have. Now, I didn't link any of this because it wasn't really from the government, so I hesitated. But there are some mainstream news publications out there, like NBC and CNN and the like. The way they framed it, they said that Cracker Barrel is returning their sign after extreme right-wing backlash. They kept saying from the right-wing, conservatives. They were just putting all the heat, directly on conservatives. Whereas I got a feeling that there were probably a lot of classical liberals that probably felt the same way. Like, don't change something that's great. Garth from Wayne's World, yeah. Yep, seems about right. She kind of looks like Jodie Foster, but with really, really douchey glasses. Just those like I am 100% voting for Kamala Harris. Those are the glasses. That is the signal that you are fully and wholeheartedly on the left. Just there's like some like they're punch me glasses. That's what they are. Those glasses just say punch me in the face. All right. I'll calm down. I'll be nice. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect right there. That's a good one, man. That meme is old as hell. Sounds like they need to fire the CEO and get an ad with Sid. All right. Yeah, she's quite attractive. Welcome, Cracker. Well, not anymore. No, they fell back down to earth. BlackRock. Oh yeah. Yep. BlackRock, apparently they're the largest single shareholder of Cracker Barrel. And we know that BlackRock has been pretty heavy with DEI and ESG and all that fucking bullshit. Pretty dangerous. All right. I guess that's enough of Cracker Barrel. It's just good news. It's really good news. That brought a smile to my face last night. I fell asleep last night with a big smile on my face. Like, yeah, man, Cracker Barrel. But see, that's only the sign, though. They're still changing the restaurant. They're changing 500 locations. They're giving it this ridiculous modern look. Should I show that to you? I could show you what they plan on making it look like. It looks absolutely atrocious. I mean, it looks sterile. It looks boring. It looks soulless. That's probably the best way I could describe it. If we got something in the images here. No, that's not what I saw. I didn't see that at all. Hold on. See, if that's what they're doing, I don't see any difference there, really. See, look, that's one of the images that I saw. Hold on. See, that looks fine. That's what it looks like already, I think. On the right and on the bottom. How can I make this bigger? That's what she said. All right. So this is on New York Post. Yeah, see, that's what I saw that they were going to turn it into. Putting like booths all over the place and doing like this weird like modern look where they're trying to make it look all artsy fartsy with this like nonsense on canvases and whatnot. It looks stupid. But no, see, that's how it looks right now. It looks perfectly fine there. Damn it, man. Why the fuck isn't it here? There was one, it looked so damn sterile. And I was hoping that they would have an image of it. Maybe I was getting trolled. Maybe that wasn't like a real actual image that they were, or of a restaurant that they were working on. Let me see if I can word it this way. Because I saw, it was worded similar to that. No? It's probably been overtaken by the name change, because I bet most of these images are probably from recent articles talking about the signage. All right, whatever. I don't want to waste too much time trying to look for something. I should have been prepared with it. If I come across it, maybe I'll drop it in tomorrow's episode. I've already shown it. I showed it whenever it was back in the news a week or two ago when they were ready to change the sign. Like they announced, like, this is what the sign looks like. Whatever day that was the day that I showed what the inside and outside of the new restaurant is supposed to look like. And it looks terrible. It looks awful. All right. So from CBP, I think I think I only got maybe one more after this. So today, another big story. Today, as in yesterday, so it was August 26th, and it was at 8 o'clock p.m., so it barely made it into my 24-hour cutoff because I usually start between 6 and 7 p.m. when I record each episode, so it fit, even though it's technically been over 24 hours at this point. But today, DHS makes its 5,000th arrest in Los Angeles. 5,000 criminal, illegal aliens, and gang members, and child predators, and murderers have been taken off the streets. This is just the beginning. Dude, that's a lot of people for LA. Kind of a white pill moment. Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting full screen, dude. Let's full screen this shit. And what was it? Aggravated. What was it? Aggravated. Oh, felon. Okay, aggravated felon. All right, man. Hell yeah, son. 5,000 in LA and still going. And we're well over 1,000 in DC at this point. We're over 1,100 in DC now, as far as arrests are concerned. So this one is from DOT Maritime Administration. Together, we're not just building ships, we're building the future of American maritime right here at home. So he gives a statement on that. It's a little long.
Unfortunately, Secretary Duffy sent his regrets. He had hoped to attend.
Oh, no, I didn't want to do that.
Secretary Chavez de Reamer and Ambassador Greer, but they were held up in a cabinet meeting.
Quality is just not that good, man.
So they were not able to attend on time here. But I want to start by thanking President Lee for being here today. His presence demonstrates Korea's commitment to contribute to the expansion of America's shipyards. It's an honor to join so many distinguished top government officials and leaders in our maritime industry today. The U.S. maritime industry and shipbuilding is making a comeback. We clearly have a new era thanks to President Trump and Secretary Duffy.
There we go. That's a little better.
President Trump has made it clear that American exceptionalism is the standard. And thanks to Secretary Duffy's leadership, the Department of Transportation is focused, energized, and delivering results right here in American shipping.
Okay, I was going to say, that's here though, right? What the fuck's the South Korea shipping?
The U.S. Merchant Marine Academy myself,
contracting with South Korea, maybe.
The value of the maritime industry and the critical importance of training the next generation who will carry.
Can you tell I didn't see the video yet?
Sometimes the movement
I kind of want to react as it goes.
Seems a little routine. But our U.S. flagged fleet and the men and women who build, operate, and support it form a lifeline critical to our national security, economic strength, and American competitiveness. Since taking on the role of acting administrator of the Maritime Administration, I've repeated time and time again that our focus needs to be clear. People, ships, cargo, and ports. The state of Maine is one of the 5 national security multi-mission vessels that will train the next generation of American mariners. And that's why we're here today, to focus on building ships and investing in people as we christen her today. And the construction of these vessels, this class of vessels, by the way, has created more than 400,000 jobs. And this ship represents a lot more than just steel and engineering. It stands as a symbol of American commitment to dominance, economic strength, and national readiness. The state of Maine, we're not just launching a vessel. We're launching opportunities. Opportunities for cadets at Maine Maritime Academy to train on state-of-the-art equipment, opportunities to rapidly respond to humanitarian crises, and opportunities to restore American leadership in shipbuilding and sea power. The Department of Transportation and Merit are proud to lead this effort. Using the innovative vessel construction manager model, we've delivered this ship with just less than 30 change orders. That's almost unheard of in shipbuilding.
I was going to say, is that good?
Government shipbuilding. That efficiency has saved taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars.
All right.
And years of time.
I can dig it.
This is how we rebuild an industry, by unleashing innovation, cutting red tape, making smart investments, and forging strong partnerships. The United States used to be one of the world's largest shipbuilders. Today, the U.S. share of the market has
one ship a day during World War II.
0.1%. In 2022, U.S. shipyards produced just 5 large commercial vessels. China built nearly 1,800.
Good Lord, man.
Sink in.
What the fuck?
And last year, a single Chinese shipbuilder
They have gutted our
produced
damn
more commercial
country.
vessels than the
Fucking
entire
politicians.
U.S. industry since the end of World War II. We cannot lose this fight any longer.
It sounds like we already did,
But the
man.
state of Maine is just the
Hoping to
beginning.
rebuild.
Under President Trump's leadership, American shipyards can and will produce big, beautiful ships again. So,
All right, let's go, man. Let's get to work. One ship a day. Let's get back to where we were in World War II. Let's crank
in
this
closing,
shit out.
I want to remind everyone that this is how we rebuild an industry. We unleash this innovation, and we have strong partnerships, and we cannot do it alone. So to the teams at Hanwha, Tote Services, and Maine Maritime Academy, well done, and thank you for your partnership. To the workers, the welders, the machinists here at this yard, well done. America thanks you for your service. Together, we're not just building ships, we're building the future of American maritime right here at home.
All right, man, let's get to building. Let's build up these ships. Let's get it going, man. Yeah, I'm sure there's a pretty sizable infrastructure already in place. I mean, the shipyards, I'm sure they're still intact. I'm sure there's plenty there. Probably undoubtedly, there's probably, quite a bit of stuff that's already there. Equipment, I'm sure would probably need to be updated in some way, shape, or form. But I'm sure that the ports are already all dredged out. The infrastructure's in place. So we should really get back to building ASAP. I wonder if we've got any commitments from any major companies that are going to start doing it. I'm assuming it's not going to be just federal dollars. I would assume that they're probably getting private companies, which he did mention South Korea. So I would imagine that they probably have some contractors coming in, but I don't know. But anyway, that is all I've got. That's it for today. I don't have any more beyond that, and I'll be back with another one tomorrow. And until then, if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me if you subscribe, and I'll drop a new show every evening covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the agencies, and everything else. And lately, I've been pretty good about posting clips from each episode that I record in the evening, and I've been posting them at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and if I can grab a fourth one, it's at 2 p.m. So every 2 hours starting at 8 a.m. the next day, I'll post some of the short clips. If you don't have time to watch the whole thing, honestly, I don't blame you. There's a lot of stuff that happens every day in the federal government, so there's always a lot to cover. But I'll be covering it again tomorrow. So if you want to stop by tomorrow, I'll be back with another one. And I also post daily episodes over on X, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And until next time, God bless America.